Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott.
Join us every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Special thank you to our sponsors of The Experience Live with Russ and Scott, the Gillette Home team of Keller Williams in Lebanon, Oregon. For more information, go to teamgillette.com. And the Aging Better Network with Christine Smith. For more information, go to agingbetternetwork.com. Now your host, Russ and Scott.
And that's us.
And here we are. Welcome everybody to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott on this Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time here on the West Coast. And where Scott is in Waco, it is 9 a.m. So, right. and where our guests are is a whole different time. So we're coming to you from all different time zones all over the world. But you know what? It doesn't really matter what time it is where you are. We're just glad you're here, right, Scott?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's just fun to be able to get together online. This community has been so supportive for the over 3 years, coming up on 3.5 years that we have been doing this show. Hard to imagine, Russ.
It is totally hard to imagine. I mean, I can't even believe it. And, you know, from this show, everyone, Scott and I just decided to have more fun. Because we just came off the Experience Backstage, which we've been doing for over 2 years.
Yep.
And that's with our good friend Shree in Houston, Texas. And we do that at 6:30 a.m. on Instagram only every week. And so that is an amazing show for a half hour before leading, just giving video tips from Shree, having fun and getting ready for this show. And Scott, we do one more thing, didn't we?
Absolutely, we do. On Mondays, we have got now the Experience Local live with Russ and Scott, believers in business. So Christian business owners in the mid-Willamette Valley. That is not Willamette, for those of you who don't live in Oregon. It is Willamette, the Willamette Valley. And not only is it live on the social channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, it also has an audio broadcast every Monday night at 6 p.m. on KWIL 790 AM.
Yes, that is right. We're having a lot of fun with that, being able to do local radio. You know, the whole theme of the show, Believers in Business, focuses on local people and believers. It's on a Christian radio station that we're broadcasting. And so we're focusing on local believers in the area. And we have great local sponsors, too. A lot of people say to me, well, why should I watch from Switzerland or Germany or Australia? I'll tell you why. You should watch because we're trying to encourage people. We may think globally, but you need to act locally. You need to be involved in your local community. Don't forget your local economy, all the people that are around you, because we have such a great global economy now, but don't forsake those people that are right next door to you. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been having fun. We've been spending the last few days here in Waco. We came down for the eclipse with a lot of other people came to Texas. We had beautiful weather for Monday, the eclipse day. Friday, we're going to be headed to Houston for the social media breakfast with Cami Hoysa. In fact, we get to have dinner with her in her home on Thursday evening. So I know there's a lot of jealousy out there, but we're going to have a great time. And then the Texas Library Association in San Antonio. And oh, look, it's the Independent Planner and Journal. It is Freeze in Action in the Face of a Business Crisis, Business Networking, a Scientific Method, and Networking for Students. They're all coming there. But we've been staying here at the Courtyard by Marriott, right on the Brazos River, by the Waco suspension bridge built in like 1870. It's the longest of its kind this side of the Mississippi. Check your atlas to find out where that is.
Yes, well, that's amazing. I wanted to tell everybody that Scott is so full of great wisdom, and I would have never written my first book, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose, but because he inspired me so much, in the last 8 months, I've been able to write 4 collaborative books, which have been amazing,
Mhm.
including just released, and I just got my copies of Perspectives on Cancer,
Ooh.
Volume 2, which I wrote a chapter in about my cancer journey, and with CJ and the team, uh, Beyond Boundaries, Living in the Gray Zone. And this just came in. This one is a thick book. There's a lot of great, amazing people in this book. We're going to even be doing some book signings at Borders and some other bookstores in the area. So excited about that. So, yeah, so we would love to encourage you with that. You go to russhedge.com for me or D. Scott Smith for Scott and get any of that information. I don't think that's where you go to get an invitation to Cammy's for dinner, but I'm working on that one. So, okay. Anyway, it's so great, Scott. I think we should get things rolling and get our guests
Absolutely.
in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we do that, everybody, I just want to remind you that we're here at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time every week for your listening and viewing pleasure. We also convert this to audio podcast. So here we are live. You can engage live. It's amazing. But if you miss it, it sits on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube on those platforms for infinity and beyond. That's right, forever. Forever it's sitting there. And you can watch it. But if you don't have time to watch, then you can listen on iTunes,
There,
Spotify, or any of those.
and I'll just remind people that they are there forever and ever by ever.
By ever. There you go.
As ever does so much work behind the scenes for us.
Oh
We're
my
so
goodness.
grateful for her work. So
Yes.
forever and ever by ever.
By ever. And last but not least, don't forget to join our YouTube community at the experience.video. We'd love for you to be part of that. We're really trying to get that growing. So please open a tab, just type in the experience.video and join us there today. Plus, we have a new landing page that includes all of Scott's and my stuff, plus the new show, which is local.theexperience.video right there on the screen. So I'd love to have you on there as well. So with that, we're going to get Paula in the room, get this party started. Then we'll bring Cliff in right after that. So here she is all the way from Switzerland.
Hmm.
Hello, Paula.
Yeah. Hello. Nice to be here.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's so great to have you. How are things in Switzerland today?
Pretty good, I would say. We already have an afternoon. It definitely isn't early morning here anymore. So the day is, it's 4 p.m. or a little past. So
There you go.
lot going
It's,
on, life as it is.
there you go. And you've done some collaboration too and are involved in some of similar groups that I am in. But before we jump into all that, let's start with who is Paula and what are you up to?
Well, how many hours do we have?
We'll give you 2.5 hours. Go ahead.
All right, there we go. Well, originally, I'm from Finland, so I always have to say that, even though I do live in Switzerland and I've been here a very long time, since 2001, but originally from Finland. So that is my origin. And I grew up, and the biggest thing that has influenced my life is being trained as a ballet dancer. That was my original training. And so, but I went on to study. I didn't become a dancer, but I went to study in the US. So I was over there on the other side of the pond for 5 years, first studying and then working. And then I came over here to Switzerland because company I was working for asked, "Would you like to go to Switzerland?" I said, "Okay, sure, I'll go." And here we are.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So that was in 2001. I came here, and it was my intention was to try 1 year, and well, it's been a very long year now.
So you just try it 1 year at a time, and it just keeps rolling. That's good.
Yeah, I guess so. So now I have I have kids and everything, and I've gone through a lot in this whole background of ballet caused a lot of good things, like, a lot of positive things in my life, being driven and focused and everything. But it also caused a lot of troubles for me. I wasn't living very authentically. And so I went into a depression
Mm.
for 7 years. Sounds like, so easy to say 7 years, but yeah, it wasn't so easy. But I came out, and then I decided, okay, I need to do something. So that what I decided to do first was to help dancers, young dancers, to have tools to deal with everything that comes with the, it is like a sport. It's an artistic sport. And there's a lot of pressure, comparison, and all the things like in any other sport there is. And I realized, look, you got to have some tools in order to deal with that and build a foundation so that whatever happens, whether you're going to be a professional and do a career or not, or anything happens, that you're set. You're not going to fall, flat on no ground and everything's going to, you know, not looking very good if something happens or things don't turn out like you want them to turn out. And so I did an app and programs in the app for confidence for dancers. And that's kind of what started my coaching. I didn't realize even. I didn't realize that I was coaching until someone said, I think that sounds like coaching. And then I was like, well, okay, it sounds like coaching. And here I am doing the thing that many years ago I was thinking, oh, it's so cool to be a coach. And then found myself like dropped into that world, which was
So
really
looking back, one of the things that I found too is that when you're involved in something like dancing or any other sport, art, activity, a business endeavor, something where you put yourself in fully, physically, emotionally, mentally, that you need that outside source. You need that coach, someone who's going to keep you grounded. And what I found is the best coaches were the ones that not only understood the sport, the activity, whatever that endeavor was, but they also taught you more about life. And so did you, along your journey as a dancer, did you have a coach like that? Because I would imagine that's also what's inspiring you to do what you do today.
well, actually, what inspires me to do what I do is I didn't.
Mm.
I never ever, and that's the thing with the dancing kind of industry. It isn't something, you have coaches for all kinds of physical things. You have teachers, and you work on the physicality. You work on your technique and the artistry. How do you present? How do you tell a story on stage? How to be on stage and perform? But the whole mental aspect is still to this day not often even talked about. It's like, well, this is something you have to deal with yourself, which is the reason I was like, well, look, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that young dancers like 16 to early 20s that, they only identify themselves with as a dancer. And if anything happens, something in sports, anything can happen. You can be injured the next day or today. And it can be a really catastrophic injury and you will not go back. Or, in dance, for example, it's a very aesthetic thing. So, the director might say, well, you're too short or you're too tall for that part, so you won't get it. There's nothing you can do about it. You
Right.
cannot change certain things about yourself. So
Yeah, it sounds like that is where people need great support and need the coaching. And we're going to continue to talk a little bit about that. But I want to get Cliff in the room. Our next guest, Clifford Sparks, is here today to join us. And what an amazing man Cliff is. We had such an awesome discussion the other day. How's it going, Cliff?
I'm good, Russ. How are you doing? Hey, Paula.
hi, Clifford.
Scott, it's nice to meet you.
Hey, Clifford, I am glad you're here today. And I love your line there, greatness within. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As Paula was talking about, we are physical coaching has been around forever. And my best coaches actually were both physical and mental coaches. They just didn't know it. And as I went through my journey, I'm like, oh, we're in a constant state of evolution or development, I call it. We're constantly developing. We're constantly getting better. Now, what's scary is as we get better, we also have the opportunity to get worse too. You can get something and either be resourceful or not be resourceful. And as I've gone through my journey, I go, oh my goodness, it's an internal game, but not everyone knows that it's an internal game because we've never been taught that it's an internal game. We sit down in class, we have people pour into us, and we don't ever ask, hey, what did you get out of that? Why did you get that out of that? How could I make this better? We know what's right and we know what's wrong because we're adults now. Well, the truth is we're always learning what's right and what's wrong for us. And so I love the book Befuddled because it's kind of like, holy crap, I thought I knew something until I didn't know that I didn't know. And then I'm constantly relearning and learning and figuring out what works for me.
Yeah, I think that's so true, Cliff, is that people get caught in this befuddled state and they're not intentional and purposeful about how they're living. And that's where coaches come in handy. And, Scott and I always say this, and I'm sure you two would agree with this. And Cliff, we were having this chat about this exactly. Do you think that Kobe Bryant's coach or Michael Jordan's coach didn't think they knew how to shoot the ball, or didn't know how to pass the ball, or didn't know how to dribble the ball? It's not that some of the basic things that you do with your job or your life, you don't understand how to do them, but you can do them so much better. You can be inspired to go so much further and grow so much more. And that is where a coach comes in, right, Paula?
Exactly. I was like just like nodding here. I'm like, yes, exactly. That's what it is, because it's it is the eternal game. It's if I now went back and changed what comes after my name, because I couldn't come up with anything really smart. So I was like, well, I would put confidence is visible, because that's what it is. If you can be really good, and everyone who's like a pro or even close to that, everyone's really good. Like technically, you got it, everything. You know how to throw the ball. You know how to do everything. But then in the end, well, who is the one that really, let's say, makes it, or is the one that gets noticed, that gets the most attention, and is able to deliver the best at the, moments of absolute pressure, is the one who has so much confidence in themselves and believes themselves, and that shows you the outside world.
Yeah.
I love that because there's research out there that says that attractive people are more successful. And I thought, well, that stinks. That's something I have no control over. But the additional research says confident people are more attractive. And so A equals B, B equals C, the transitive property back from our early days of algebra. Confident people are more successful, and you have total control over your confidence. But that's one of those things that I believe it's hard to do on your own because, as they say, you can't read the label from the inside of the jar. You need a coach.
Right, right. Well, and Cliff, I'm going to pass this to you. And it's, when you have people come to you and say, yeah, I mean, like Cliff, you're involved in fighting and different things. And they say, I know how to do that. I know how to, you're just telling me what I already know. And this is where people get stuck in this rut. Okay. So you know it. Well, why do you suck at what you're doing? No, you don't say that to them, but why are you not doing it better? Why are you not reaching further? Why are you not trying to grow through what you're doing? How do you get through to people that are stuck in that rather than think they know it all?
I usually go by asking a question, figuring out what result they're looking to get and why haven't they gotten the result. And then I'll show them someone who has gotten the result and what they did to get the result. We're doing the best we can as we go through this process. And I got a 3 and a 7-year-old, and I love them so much because they're constantly teaching me and I'm constantly teaching them. They're seeing what they see and I'm seeing what I see. And so I go, okay, what is the answer here right now? I also talk about timing, and positioning. Just because someone's a certain way at one time doesn't mean they'll always be that way. And I know usually it's if I ask the right question or I say the right thing or I get them to say the right thing. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be me. I just have to ask the question for them to say it, because if they say it, then they can own it. But if I say it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, no, that is so good, because I think that when people really own it and they see that what they're doing really makes a difference and is helping them to grow in whatever they're, being coached in, makes such a difference. And I always go back to the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant thing, because people look at the best and people that have achieved the most. And those are usually, Tiger Woods was another one. Those are usually the people that had more coaching, spent more time working on things than everybody else, right, Scott?
Absolutely. Just because you have natural ability doesn't mean you're using that talent to its best and highest, right? And this is Paula. I know that you've seen this in a number of the folks that you've worked with, and also that you trained with.
Absolutely. I'm just coming back. I have a quite recent new client who is actually a college football player. You know, football, your kind of football, and that's exactly where this has been the biggest issue was that he was not able to. He was like, "Well, I'm not really going to 100%. There's always a gap. Like I know I can do more, but there's something that's holding me back from that." And then it's for me, I always call them experiments. We just experiment with little things that feel good to him. Like, okay, yeah, I could do something that will, hopefully help me get a little bit more out of it. And then we do that for a while and then we'll see what the result is. It's an experiment there. It's not forever. You
Hmm.
can do something for a while, and if it doesn't work, and you already got that tool then, because I'm all about building toolkits. So if you experiment with a lot of tools, a lot of different ways and methods, and some of them, from my point of view, are physical because I do bring ballet and Pilates into the training. Like, yeah, I make him move, do like ballet stuff. That's really, really powerful. And all those things together with the mind, we've been able to work it up to not yet 100, but very close, much higher up than it was originally. And it's showing, and it's just a beautiful way to explore and build this kind of toolkit that then he has forever. Even after the time that we work together, he will always have these tools because he tried them all.
Right.
He's given some experimental time for all these things. And even if it doesn't work right now, it doesn't mean 2 years down the road it wouldn't work.
I think they discovered that years ago that ballet is really good for football players and athletes because it really teaches balance and all kinds of things. And you and I talked a little bit about this, Paula. I was not by my choice originally, but I got involved while I was playing high school football with a dance group we did shows and dance, and I had to learn the basics of all the different types of dance, and I had to take ballet. It is hard. It's hard stuff, right? And especially when you get into a lot of people exercise nowadays, there's a combination of yoga, ballet, and Pilates, and which is super hard. Everybody, you move one direction and your heart starts going like crazy, and it gets you in great shape, Cliff, for whatever you're doing in your life. And I think that what people learn through physical coaching and challenges is they learn they can take themselves in their mind beyond where they thought they could go. Right, Cliff?
100%. 100%. Like, Paula said she didn't even know she was coaching. I've been coaching since I was 4. I had no idea. What even got me into it, everyone kept calling me a coach. And that's when I'm like, well, I should probably get certified in this if everyone's going to call me this. I get certified. I'm like, oh, crap, I've been doing this since I was a 4-year-old kid. And what's interesting, so I like thinking inside the box so that I can think outside the box. Because sometimes it's hard to go outside the box if we just try thinking outside the box. We're still thinking inside the box. Very interesting. But as I'm going through this process, I've learned the ability to stretch is cool and really, really fun. And I like stretching everybody. I cannot help myself. Now I've learned to ask permission much better, because before I would just stretch people and take them to places that they didn't want to go. And I'm like, oh, okay, live and learn. The ability to stretch the mind and stretch it appropriately is the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. And I'll give an example. There was a guy on he was doing a TED Talk, and he was a black male, and he ended up befriending a Ku Klux Klan. I think they're called Grand Wizards. I'm not really familiar with the Ku Klux Klan, but he befriended this man, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't, hey, I'm this guy. Hey, I'm this guy. Let's be friends. No, this was a 3-year process a 3-year process, 3 years of putting in the reps. You know, we talk about ballet, putting in the reps. Life's about putting in the reps. And when you put in the reps, that's where the magic happens. So just having the thought is one thing, but the thought plus the action is another thing altogether. And when you can see two men who had so much fear
Mm-hmm.
and one had a lot of anger, both had anger actually in their own aspect, but they let it go and they became something different. And that speech says, hey, we can be different. And I think that's what we're constantly teaching as we go through our process, saying like, hey, can you take someone who hurts you, who doesn't like you, who discredits you, and can you love them?
Wow.
Because when you love them, they're better, you're better, and the world's better for it.
So, Clifford, this is just a remarkable story. I think just in itself, and if we break it down, one of the things you started with, and I want to hear Paula's thoughts on this as well, is inside the box, outside the box. And what it reminds me of is a couple of great artists. One of them is Picasso, right, and the other one is E.E. Cummings, writer, poet, and both of them truly understood the rules, right? They knew art, they knew writing, they knew grammar, all of the balances, and they executed, I'll say, within the box, within those rules before they moved to break out, right? And they obviously broke the rules. But this is an interesting combination, and I'm just thinking, I want to hear Paula's thought on this as well.
Well, I think there are different ways. Some people, like Picasso and things, they were already, he was already doing art within the box, within the, societal, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
frames that were existing at that time. So he was building his craft and kind of the credibility within that, and then boxing out of it, which still wasn't easy. He still, it wasn't like accepted and like, yeah, applauded everywhere. But then there are ways where some people just do not see the frame, do not see the box, and decide to go, beyond anyway, which is being really brave. And that's where also that confidence comes in, when you're really confident that this is the way, and there's this, I'm being called to do this. There's no way that I could accept first doing something within some kind of frames. If I do even see them, I have to do this. This is my mission. This is how my expression in this world of me being a human. And through that, allow other people to do the same.
Yeah. Well, and that I love that. I love that. Expressing yourself, and really I think this is where I think coaches are very successful, when they have the real passion and they're feeling they're able to inspire people because they're so passionate about what they're talking about. And you both are that way. And I think that's where it makes such a huge difference, Cliff, in being able to get through to people, that authenticity, that sometimes that vulnerability of saying, hey, I've been through this and I've failed and I've had struggles. And Paula, you talked about that. There's times when I've had a real down time, and I've had to go through this and find where I was going from there. So Cliff, when people are doing that, give them, we're almost wrapped up here. So give them your final thoughts here for this live stream today, because we're right at the end of the time. I just noticed the clock. And then at the end of that, let them know how they can get in touch with you to learn more.
Yeah. So for me, I'll start with, we take something through a filter and we have a story that's going in our head, right? We have a state that we're in. So we emotionally feeling a certain way. And then we have our physiology. And one thing that I noticed as an athlete, like I asked myself the question, why do I win so much? And not in a cocky way. It's just very curious. Why do I win? And I realized something. Whenever I'm down in the dirt, I look up. And I look up because it helps me see that my problems really aren't as big as they are. But if I'm looking down, all of a sudden everything looks a lot bigger, looks very heavy. And so the state of our physiology is going to determine who we are and how we show up. And so as Paula is talking about confidence, ask yourself, what's a confident person do? Confidence just acts in confidence. That's it. Doesn't mean the situation's good or bad. Situation's actually neutral. It's what feelings you're expressing when you're acting on the situation. And so look up, remember who the F you are at all times, and go make your dream a reality. The best way to reach me on LinkedIn or Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and just say what's up and let me know what your dream is. I like talking about that.
That is so awesome. That's so awesome. Hey, Paula, same thing. Give us your gold nuggets, your wrap up of what thoughts for today, and then how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it short. So Clifford already has like said all the good things, and I'll just continue from there. What I've encouraged people to do is every day recreate yourself. Recreate yourself. Forget everything that was yesterday and forever behind that. It's not here anymore. So every morning you have a chance to start with a new clean table. You approach your relationships, you approach yourself, you approach your situation, your training, your everything with a new set of energy that you create every day. I mean, you can even do that twice a day, whatever, every hour if you want, but it's easy to do it in the morning. So that's how, you keep curious, keep yourself authentic, listening to yourself, your intuition. And so, try it, make it an experiment. So yeah,
And
to
people
get
get in touch with you.
in on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the best. I'm also on Instagram. And yeah, I love to listen. So I'd love to listen to everybody's stories, where they've come from, what their visions are.
Well, that makes an amazing coach too. Have been able to listen. The old adage that the old saying that God gave us 2 ears and one mouth. We listen to people more, we learn more, we're able to help more. And that is so great. So Paula, Cliff, thank you both so much for being here with us today. What an amazing discussion.
Mhm.
I just think that it really opens people's eyes to what's possible for them when you have two people like you doing some really great stuff. And so we are blessed and honored to have you on today. And I'm just so thankful that I have amazing friends like you that are willing to come on with Scott and I and give everybody a little value for the day. So we're going to say goodbye to you, but hang tight in the green room. We'll be right there, but we're going to wrap the show up. So thanks so much again.
Thank you.
Thank
Fabulous.
Appreciate
you.
it.
Wow.
Woo!
We always say we have the most remarkable people on the planet that come on this show as guests. And I'll just say thank you to the folks who are commenting today, because once again, the most remarkable people, just fabulous.
Yes, yes. I don't know who this Christine Smith is. She's kind of stalking us, but um, anyway, yeah, no, I tell you, I am so thankful for technology that no matter where we are or
Mhm.
what we're doing, whether we're in Waco, Texas, or whether we're in Switzerland or we're here in Oregon, we can all come together, work together. This really is a form of collaboration, coming together to share value with other people. And I
That's
think
right.
that you and I are blessed to be able to do this every week more than once.
Mhm.
And I'm just so thankful for you, Scott.
Well, Russ, you're a good friend, and thank you for all the work that you do to make these shows not only the experience live with Russ and Scott, but the experience local.
There you go.
Is a production that you put together every week with the assistance of Ever. So it's always a team effort, always collaborative, but I thank you for your effort and work there.
You bet. Well, I love doing it. Don't forget, everybody, you can join us at local.theexperience.video for more information about Scott and I, too, and not just the experience and the experience local. So please go there. And also
Mhm.
join our YouTube community at the experience video. We'd love for you to go there, subscribe today. What does that give you? It gives you access to all these amazing people that Scott and I are able to interview, and just friends of ours all over the world. And so we're so thankful for that. So with that, Scott, I think we're going to call it good. And just so blessed that I get to spend every week with you, my friend.
It is fabulous fun. And, people ask you, what do you do for fun? You're watching it right now.
That's it. We have fun every week. With that, come join us next week at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, everybody, for the Experience Live with Russ and Scott. Have a blessed and amazing week and
enjoy the experience.
Woohoo!
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.